Continuing on today, my earthing at the card table under the tree at the Linwood Micro Park was somewhat distracted yesterday by True Lee and another individual whom you have seen in the videos in the background in this spring. Anyway, I want to continue on. I reviewed the video last night and found that I did not make my data points concerning carbon dating, so I'll lead off with that again today. There have been three major atmospheric changing events in the last 13,000 years, and this dramatically affects how carbon dating, because there have been these discussions that carbon dating is inaccurate or not reliable or there's inconsistencies. There's a reason for that, and it has to do with what the elves have done. Before 13,000 years ago, there was the atmosphere here, and maybe even much further back than that. There's, I think I had mentioned this once before. There's this, I guess they call it a volcanic vent. It looks like a gigantic tree stump, and that's actually what it really is. It's a gigantic petrified tree stump. And this tree was probably 20 or 30 miles high and 20 miles in diameter. It was gigantic. It is actually a tree stump, a petrified tree stump. It is gigantic, which means the Earth's atmosphere was quite a bit thicker and higher than it is now. And the way Daniel proved that that was a tree was he looked for coal deposits within all around that area there, where that, I think it's down in Australia. Anyway, he looked for coal deposits because coal deposits are present where there's flora, fauna, and other trees. And he said within 20 miles, the 20-mile diameter radius of that tree stump, he said there's no coal deposits. There's coal deposits outside that area, but no coal deposits there. And that tree had been there apparently for an awful long time. That was a really big, really mature tree, and who knows how long it had been there, probably maybe tens of thousands of years. So, getting back on topic though, obviously the Earth's atmosphere was a whole lot thicker then than it is now. Then 13,000 years ago, and I suppose there may have been other events that took place, but the Father left in the shuttlecraft, Ezekiel 9, the Lord hath forsaken the earth. This is the Shaddai reality. Is it Ezekiel 8 or Ezekiel 9? Maybe it's Ezekiel 8. It's the one where it says the Lord hath forsaken the earth. It should say Yahweh Al Shaddai hath forsaken the earth, and that is correct. Yahweh Al Shaddai has forsaken the earth temporarily. Well, he intended to do it permanently, but then we made a deal. Ahim made a deal, and the dispute amongst the elves, the transgressions, possible recriminations, Ahim's children looking as seen by the Father as transgressors. The Father has made a way for Ahim's children to be restored to the Father. Anyway, but back on this topic. So Shaddai left 13,000 years ago, and that action of leaving in that shuttlecraft dramatically stripped a big portion of the Earth's atmosphere off of the Earth. I've heard these accounts where people were living tens of thousands of years. Life expectancies a long time ago were very, very, very long. We see it in the scriptures. Life expectancies were hundreds of years. And I've heard these accounts, I think it was Sumerian accounts, life expectancies of tens of thousands of years, not just hundreds of years, thousands, tens of thousands of years. When the shuttlecraft left and tore away a large portion of the Earth's atmosphere, what this did was raise the amount of sunshine that reaches the Earth. radioactive, in short, it raised the amount of radioactive carbon in the environment. So you have to know the dates of when these events were. So 13,000 years ago, there would be a dramatic increase. There was a measurable, noticeable increase in the amount of radioactive carbon in the environment because more sunshine, more cosmic radiation, anything that's coming from out there down to here, there's less atmosphere to shield, and so radioactive carbon increases. And radioactive carbon is, if I'm not mistaken, the number one cause of mankind's death is radioactive carbon, even though we're not being taught this. The real cause of why mankind dies, besides telomere cap degradation, is radioactive carbon in our diets. Then, with the Noahic flood, approximately 4,400 years ago, was it 4,400 BC? No, 4,400 years ago. Whenever the Noahic flood was, another degradation to the Earth's atmosphere took place. And now, visible sunshine, light could be seen, and rainbows now could be seen. Whereas they were not seen before that. So even more of the Earth's atmosphere and vapor canopy were lost. And thus, at the time of the Noahic flood and thereafter, another increase. Picking slivers out of my hand here. I was handling some wood earlier. Another increase of radioactive carbon in the environment. So you have to know these time frames in order to view radioactive carbon dating with more accuracy. Then at the time of the Tower of Babel, and Daniel has done an excellent chart, which we have not published yet, or at least he has given it to me, but I've not published it. But Daniel has a chart extremely accurate to within a year or even months of history, so-called biblical history, recent history, and so I wouldn't say modernity, but in the last 6,000 years, history as determinable by the scriptures. Very, very, very accurate. He's been able to anchor it very accurately in two different events. And so then the next event we're looking at is the Tower of Babel. And at the Tower of Babel, yet Daniel posits, at the time, the year of the Tower of Babel, when that event took place and the languages of the earth were confused, even more of the earth's atmosphere was stripped away. And then we have this citation, and I'll have to look and see if there's I assume, could be wrong, but there's a very clear scriptural citation, say that 10 times fast, that a man's years shall be 70 and 10, and if by strength 80. Now, how does God know how long mankind's life expectancy will be? Well, the Creator knows all of these things, and He knows what's killing us. Can you say radioactive carbon? So Daniel posits that the technologies and the means and the resources, as well as the foods that will be available to us, food that has no radioactive carbon in it, food that will be grown inside the shuttlecraft with no radioactive carbon. Or maybe the shuttlecraft will have even smaller ships go travel to Jupiter, the planets in the outer solar system, and gather up oxygen and nitrogen and other gases and bring them here to the Earth and replenish the Earth's atmosphere back to much more plenteous levels than it was before, to help dramatically increase our life expectancies, reduce the amount of radioactive carbon in our environments, as well as increase the amount of available oxygen. I think a long time ago, the atmospheric level, the percentage of oxygen in the atmosphere, was 40 or 41%. I could be completely wrong. I'll have to do some research. So that's that's one of the things that I wanted to tell you, is that without access to the L's and a true accurate knowledge of history, you won't understand why some things are. So this explains why the different amounts or issues with radioactive carbon dating, and that's because these individuals don't take into account. It's not correct to say, well, it's always there's a certain amount of radioactive carbon, inverse square law. There hasn't always been that amount of radioactive carbon in our environment. There are 4 different eras of amounts that I can show, that I've just shown. There was the era before the Younger Dryas event, the era between the Younger Dryas event and the Noahic event, then the era between the Noahic flood event, and the Tower of Babel event, and now the time after the Tower of Babel event, and now. 4 different eras of steadily, or dramatically increasing amounts of radioactive carbon in our environment. So based on this knowledge, then radioactive carbon dating can be performed much more accurately when you have this knowledge that the amount of radioactive carbon in the environment has not always been the same as it is now. In fact, it was dramatically less. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is I was looking over the Hexichia chart and memorizing it more. And so if you were to take 16 squares, the leftmost, and just draw 16 squares, big squares. The leftmost column can be pinkish red. That is the Holy Spirit reality column. At the topmost square is Yua Al Elyon. The next down square is the Archangel Yua, a creator being. Then below that is the man seraph, and below that is the chaos side of Erebus. And as I discussed just most recently, I believe that the beings there, and that reality being a manifestation of a type of fire, it stands to reason then that the body, because the beings at the very body are the bottom of the chart. The very bottom of the chart are the body of the heads at the top of the chart. Now, this chart is represented differently as having the heads and the bodies. This is how that stone currently, the Hexichia Dechianity stone currently that was found in the river in Ukraine in like 1852, hidden from the destructive activities of the papists, it was dug up and preserved then. It was preserved in the river from the destructive activities of whoever would seek to destroy it. And now it's on display at the Krakow Archaeological Museum at Poland, and it is a stone monolith of the Hexichia Dechianity. However, on this monolith, the bodies are in the second row from the top, and the Arca Power beings are at the top. And then the Arca only beings, and then the power beings. Anyway, the older chart that we have has all the Arca power beings across the top, then all the Arca beings, then below that the power beings, and then below that the bodies, if you will. The next column is the Shaddai column, the second to the left column. So that'll have Yua Al Shaddai at the top, then the Archangel Gabriel, then the eagle seraph Athena, known as Athena in some cultures. And now, like I said, these charts have gotten much more complex. I'd be hard-pressed to name all these names that are in there. Still working on it. Then below that are the ethereal heaven-only reality beings. Are they heaven-only? Heaven-only, that particular spot there is pure with heaven-only substance. Also, is it throne substance? I believe it's throne. The Archangel Yua is pure throne substance. See, there's 4 beings on the chart that are pure. They're one form of substance. There's 4 types of substance. Eternal substance, infinite throne substance, heaven substance, and earth substance. And these are the 4 substances, the 4 waters that come from the well of life on the order side of Erebus. where the well of life is in the well-watered place on the order side of Erebus. On the other side of the two-dimensional reality of Erebus, Nyx, is the desolate place with the lake of fire. And the three beings, the tenders of the string, the Morai, on the chaos side are known as the Furies, and on the order side are known as the Fates, also known as the I Am, the Breath, and the Word. The next most column, the second to the right column, is yellow. The Shaddai column is blue. The Ahim column, Yua Alahim column, is yellow. And at the top, we have Yua Alahim. The next one down, we have the Archangel Michael. Next one down, we have the Lion Seraph. And below that, we have Genesis 2:7 man, which is a heavenly ethereal man. Then the rightmost column is green. This is the Olam reality. So at the top, you have Yua al Olam. Then you have the Archangel Abaddon, also called Apollyon. Then you have the Vulcan Hephaestus Kaf Seraph power being. And then you have the energy only. This spot in the bottom right corner is the energy only Genesis 1:27 type man. So now if you were to divide, and I was looking at how these are divided up in quadrants. So if you were to divide the hexakidecanity down the middle with the El Elyon, well, from your perspective, with the El Elyon column and the El Shaddai column, there's no energy in those two columns, none. But on the right, from your perspective, because it's my left, on the right two columns, total of 8 positions, all 8 of those positions have energy as a form of their substance. Then what I noticed as I was looking at the column, is at the chart, then the 2 middle columns, not the Olam column and not the El Elyon column, but the middle 2 columns all have ether. They're ethereal, pure heaven. They're all 8 of the middle ones have heaven. So you just put a little H in there, heaven. And then the top 8 are all arca, so they're all throne, if I remember correctly. All throne. All throne. See, I'm trying to memorize this, so I could have it wrong. But so I remember correctly. Then when you look at the hexakidecanity, all of the arca power beings and all the arca beings, they all arca, so it's all throne. T, infinite, eternal. Oh no, then it was skipped. Then the eternal was the top column and the third column down. So then with the E, was it E? No, E is for energy. Heaven, eternal. How is eternal? P? I think P. We have these letters, single letters, referring to eternal. I think it was P. Anyway, so the eternal is the topmost. The arca power beings all have eternal substance in their reality, and then all the power beings. Do I have that right? Anyway, that's how the chart is laid out. You have 4 types of substance. So just all the right 8, energy. All the middle 8, heaven. All the top 8 are arca. Is that infinite throne? And then heaven. The top heaven? No, that was the middle. The middle, that was heaven. Eternal. Eternal. Anyway, then the topmost one and the third one down horizontally, and that's how the hexakidecanity is arranged according to substances. And then when you look at each individual, and so the way that these relationships are seen, the Ehim reality has all 4. The Ehim reality has all four forms of substance. Yeshua HaMashiach of Nazareth, the Yua Elohim reality, the Poseidon reality, has all four forms of substance. The bottom leftmost square has nothing. There's no substance there. It's not that there's no order substance. There's chaos substance there. There's projections of chaos substance there, in my opinion. But anyway, that's the null set. The null reality from your perspective, in the bottom left-hand corner is the chaos side of Erebus, which in my opinion, I'm going to take this up with Daniel, I think the Leviathan are the body. The Leviathan are the bodies, because the head is El Elyon, and then the El Elyon has a body. Shaddai is a head, has a body. The angels, Elohim, has a head and a body, the body of Mashiach, Genesis 2:7, ethereal, spiritual, priestly men and women. And then the body of Olam are the Genesis 1:27 energy-only creatures that are not spiritual with respect to the other dimensions and realities. As I said, they might have a limited form of spirituality with regard to familiar spirits and unclean spirits and disembodied spirits and those types of spirits, but they're all trapped within the realm of energy, only within this 4D energy reality within time. They have no access to the Arca reality. They have no access to the power reality, the Olympus Asgard power reality. And I've been forgetting to mention this one, in the 16-dimensional paradise reality, that's a reality too. They have no cognizance or access to paradise either. But ethereal individuals, because the substance and the situs of their spirits is in the Olympus Asgard 8-dimensional reality, your physical body, your fleshly energy body has its situs and its organization here within the 4D energy reality, but your spirit as an ethereal spiritual individual has its situs and substance in the Olympus Asgard power ethereal reality, in the 8-dimensional reality. So when your energy body passes away, because you're essentially a being of two different realities. Your flesh has its reality here, your spirit, for those that are spiritual. Not many are spiritual lately. Vast majority are spiritually dead. Their spirit reality has died. They're still alive in their flesh, but they've died in their spirit. Their spirit man is dead. So they have no reality in the ethereal realm. Their spiritual aspect there died. For those that are alive, their body, when their energy body dies, then they receive another body adjacent. They still have an adjacent reality, but now it's in paradise. So now they have a body in paradise. So they still have a combined two. They're a dual reality being, where they have a body in paradise inhabited by a spirit adjacent in the 8D ethereal Olympus Asgard reality. So they still maintain their organization in that respect, but that's only for spiritual individuals. For the fleshly, carnal individuals, when they die, it's also quite possible that, as Daniel had told me, their spirit, they die. Not only does their flesh die, but whatever limited spirit they had, it also dematerializes and dies. The limited spirit that they had dies also. Now, what Olam has been doing for apparently the last 66 million years or more has been transplanting spirits the spirits that are limited here within the energy reality. Olam has been transplanting spirits, and that's the possession that you see so much. And now, as more and more individuals of the population, more and more beings are born, live, die, born, live, die, born, live, die, but they're all trapped within this energy reality. What this does is it just increases the number of energy-only spirits that are trapped within this 4D energy reality. And now what the Shaddai, Ehim, Elyon reality has determined is to put them in the box, the can. Well, a can. I can't say the box, because when I like to refer to the box, that's Sheol, Gehenna, the grave, hell. Gehenna? No, not correct. Gehenna was the place where the evildoers of that day sacrificed children outside Jerusalem, was the garbage dump. It was called hell in the scriptures, but it was the garbage dump outside Jerusalem. And anyway, there's another topic of in the scriptures that's not taught about, but it's the two different groups of evildoers, the leadership and the population, of their debauched sex rituals and how they would worship Baal and Milcom. Milcom, was it? Both of them would worship, but they would acquire children and rape them to death and then burn them, whatever. But that was a part of, that's in the scriptures. It's in the scriptures. We see this aberrant, detestable behavior, as the Shaddai reality says, that their behaviors are an abomination and detestable. But what are these abominations? Because it's going on in the daughter of Babylon, the United States, everywhere is the acquisition of children to rape them and to death and or eat them, organ harvesting, human sacrifice, all of that. And you don't like this as a topic? Well, that is how the wealth of the worshiping and existence in death, that is how the wealth has been aggregated to the United States. The masses love the delicious living deliciously. But how is that accomplished? By the existence in death and these horrific depredations upon unborns, newborns, infants, toddlers, and children. And so Daniel now had pointed out to me these two different groups in the scriptures, of which Yusha confronted them and said, who have warned you vipers, because this isn't taught in churchianity either. The three different groups, that the vipers, the wolves in sheep's clothing, and what was the other one? Vipers. I've taught about this before. Wolves in sheep's clothing, vipers. What's the other one? Anyway, these three evil groups. It'll come back to me. And it was Yochanan the Baptist also. He said, who have warned you vipers? They were evil individuals, and they were also homosexuals, degenerates. And they would sodomize these children to death. They would anally rape them to death. That's how aberrant and evil that culture was then, and it is today. That's what goes on today. And it is this existence in death and worshiping of death and the ostensible, now canceled, covenant with death and the power of death, the archangel Addenda and the calf seraph. Because now the king of life and death has directed Addenda and the calf seraph to stop all communications, all interactions with devil worshippers. The devil worshippers, and so that's why I asked the devil worshippers, is it true the devil doesn't talk to devil worshippers anymore? That's right. It's been 23 months and the devil has stopped talking to devil worshippers. Why? Because the devil has a full-time boss. And then I say, is it true that the devil worshippers don't know who the devil's full-time boss is? That's right. All they know is destruction and death is coming, but I don't know if they understand how the mechanics of the existence, the spiritual realities, etc. And then above that are the Shaddai Ahim Elyon reality, above Olam, and then above the Shaddai Ahim Elyon reality are the Eternals. So there are three levels of God or gods, of Els and Eternals above the so-called Satan reality. And Satan has been told, shut up. Not talking to the devil worshippers. Oh, and whatever deal you made, all deals are off. And that is the Ezekiel 28 canceling, where telling you about your future. Notice all the fingers. You. Those that exist in death. That the covenant of death, I will, I will cancel Ezekiel 28. I will cancel your covenant with death, and your agreement with death, but your agreement with hell shall not stand. Anyway, and so who is it? Who is it has the ability? Because these are some of the gods, if you will. Well, obviously there's higher gods, and the higher gods told the lower gods all the deals are off. So for the last 6,000 years, the ostensible rulers of earth, the husbandmen, I'm probably belaboring this too much, but the husbandmen are the ones that made these deals with the angel of death and the power of death. And then through the eagle seraph and the calf seraph have oppressed the populations of earth for their own selfish purposes and self-aggrandizement and gathering together of riches and opulent living. And so now the vast majority of all those resources for the last 100 years having been aggregated to the daughter of Babylon, the United States, and all the evil here and the human sacrifice that's taken place as a part of that, all these disembodied spirits are being put in a can here, in a can. Can't say a box, because I like to say the box is Sheol, the grave, hell. That's the box. But there's the can. The daughter of Babylon is a can. All these spirits are being put in the can. And so just yesterday, 2 individuals that I knew, both of them younger, one of them subject to the curses and the provisions of Proverbs chapter 1, verses 10 through 19. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. Well, what is all that? When you read through Proverbs chapter 1, verses 10 through 19, in my opinion, and nobody's ever taught on this that I know of, this is the military-industrial complex. This is the invitation to become part of the mass murder. Come join the murder, in the words of Pharaoh, and come and go around the world in the 152 places where the U.S. military has its army, has its military bases, I should say, and steal stuff and murder people and steal their stuff and oppress them. Well, that's how that. Then in verse 18 and 19 it concludes. It says, they know not that it taketh away the life thereof. And so I knew an individual who died yesterday morning, either of a fentanyl xylene laced tooch, K2 deuce synthetic weed overdose, or this individual was also suffering from chronic PTSD as well as grand mal seizures. And so this individual could have gone into epilepticus, what's it called? Epilepticus status, constant, repeated, continual epileptic seizures. And if there's not medical intervention, the individual will die, probably after 1 to 4 hours. Then last night, an individual I knew who I think was probably only 22 or 23 years old also died of a drug overdose. So the eugenicists, the pharmakeia, claiming the lives. 2 people that I knew, both on a very, very, they both, I did business, so to speak, with these individuals. I actually was creditor, and anyway, my lost my investment. That's what I get for investing in individuals in a land of death. Not going to be any return on this investment here. So 2 individuals that I knew personally died yesterday. There was also a murder, young woman, a woman. I guess this happened yesterday, maybe 2 or 3 days ago. Anyway, all this here at Utica, New York. So the destruction and death, it's here. It's here. And I know people that it's killing. 2 people that I knew pretty well, on a very good first name basis, died yesterday. So destruction and death are here. It's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And for those that are spiritual, the evacuation alarm has been going off for 2-3 years now. Daniel told me 6-8 years ago, come to Poland. And I've just been staying here and working and whatever. But now, even when I did try to come to Poland, the Shaddai reality was like, nope, you got to stay a while yet. You still have to stay. You got to travel. There's people you need to see and talk to. But I don't know. It's not going to be very much longer, I don't think, because just another day or two has passed, and I was looking on my news source of 4chan, politically incorrect. Man, the information about the lockdowns, it's on random too, on B, random. The information about the lockdowns, the eugenicists, and then the so-called new variants, and now this, B86 version, whatever, B.2.86, whatever it is, that doesn't matter. It's whatever contagion they're spreading to kill people. Now they're saying an 80% fatality rate. This death force, this Revelation 16:13 death force, an evil spirit like a frog coming out of the mouth of the Antichrist. That's what this particular death force is, because there's 3 of them there. The one that comes out of the mouth of the beast is the Cabal. This reality, it's a death force, been around for thousands of years. This is against the Father. Then the one that comes out of the mouth of the false prophet. This is Mohammedan Islam. If you ever meet Islamic people, they're very fleshly, carnal, unspiritual people. This is against the Yu'a al-Elyon reality. This is against the Holy Spirit reality. It's an evil, unholy trinity, if you will. And then the last one are the eugenicists, the death force spreading all over the earth since 1860, 65, 1870 with Darwin and his cousin Dolan, and then Margaret Sanger and the Rockefellers and the Gates and all that. Iatrogenic disease and their poison injections, their needles. This is against the Yu'a Elohim, the Yeshua HaMashiach of Nazareth, the so-called Jesus reality. This is the evil spirit like a frog comes out of the mouth of the Antichrist. So this evil spirit is just claiming lives. And I could tell you the names of this would be the 5th individual that I knew on a first name basis in the last 6 or 7 months. And there are others, but these are ones that I knew well. Well, I wouldn't say really well. Some of them actually I did know pretty well. But that death force is it's accelerating. I mean, the number of individuals, so just not getting better. Not getting better. What else? What is there? I can't think of anything else at this time. I tried to get a hold of Daniel, but he's been offline, and I think he took his phone. He said it was really, really hot. He said he's going to put his phone in the refrigerator, and I thought, I wonder if he pulled it out of the refrigerator, and then it got cool enough that it had condensation all over it, and then it whacked his phone because he got his phone wet from excessive condensation. So now I'm probably going to have to wait, if that's what happened, for Daniel to buy another phone before I can get in contact with him. I tried to get in contact with him last night, and again, did not succeed. So, more dreams, more visions, what have you. Just stacks up. Eventually, they will be interpreted, but it's not good news. I do not have it. It's good news for the righteous, but the destruction and death upon the world is here now. It's claiming the lives all around me, and it's only just going to accelerate. So that's all I have for this recording today. I'll upload this one, and I should read through my dream log and pray that I have links to post. I have links. I just have to organize them and put them into the description below one of these videos. This video goes